to another edition of The Preview, our final edition of the year. I'm Adam Kulikowski. I'll be your host, the one feeding all the questions to our expert on the other side of the glass, Andy Shea. Welcome, Andy. How are you today?
Good. I'm doing great. It is championship week in the state of Pennsylvania. Why in God's creation are we still doing December football in the state of Pennsylvania?
We love football.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Virginia's been done for 2 weeks. It's stupid. Texas is done, for goodness sake. So, I say it every year, but I'm tired of it. But it is championship week in Pennsylvania. 6 football games, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2 each day. Let's go.
It's going to be great. Andy, these games are in chocolate time. I have to ask, we drove out to Coatesville last week and you were in awe of the Christmas lights on our way out from the different houses.
You just outed me. I'm a closet Christmas lights fan. I do love them.
Will you be partaking in the Christmas lights that Hershey has set up?
So I will not be partaking in the sweet lights because I can see most of it when I drove by, and I've been there a couple times recently because I went to see a couple musicals at the Hershey Theater.
Yep.
So I've been by a couple times, and I think I was there another time when it was up. And so I've seen it 3 times, and now I get to see it again. And the other part of it is it's just not a good value because my wife doesn't really want to go see the Christmas lights, and we have adult kids. So you pay by the car, right? So I can't load up the car and say, hey, there's 5 of us. It's going to cost us $5 each. And I'm like, yeah, I've seen it enough. It is really cool up close, but I prefer to drive around the neighborhoods and look and see what people do.
The organic Christmas lights.
I am.
Andy, let's get started. Obviously, championship week, like you said, kicking off on Thursday. We've got a dog in the race. Class 4A championship, Bishop McDevitt going up against Aliquippa, 7 p.m. start on Thursday night. Andy, give us a breakdown on this game.
So I think we might be in for a little bit of a defensive struggle. I know each team's kind of got its firepower on offense, but I kind of see both defenses being tempo and setters and sort of game dictators. I just struggle to see either offense going out there and sort of lighting up the other defense. And each offense has firepower, but this time of year, the margins and the windows, they're different and they're tighter and the margins are much slimmer. So, Aliquippa's got, that offensive line that they're a big fan of. They prefer to run the ball, right? Taquai Hayes, a freshman. I think he's already been offered by Penn State. He's got 1,600 plus yards, 20 touchdowns. The quarterback, he's only a sophomore, Quentin Good. He's thrown for 1,800 yards, got 17 touchdowns, only 5 picks. So think about them in the future. Good's he likes to spread the ball around. Syer Clark is their number 1 target, but he's got several of them. But if you look at their defense, they've allowed only 21 or more points twice this season. Isn't that funny? McDevitt's allowed 21 points only twice all season. LaSalle College opened and Bishop Shannon last week. Mm-hmm. When you look at Quips defensively, they've got a little bit cooking on all the levels. They got a D-tackle, a defensive lineman's their leading tackler. It's not often you see that in high school. Yeah. They have a threat on the end. Is their sack leader comes off the end, Dorius Moreland. They have a safety in DJ Walker. He's got 7 interceptions and 3 pick six. So they've got a little bit cooking at every level. They're a run stuffing machine. That's just what you say about Aliquippa's defense. So that brings me to McDevitt, right? And McDevitt's offense. They've been able to lean on that run game with Marquise Williams and Bowers the last couple games. They've performed outstanding, exceptionally the last couple games. And they just kind of handed the games to defense to seal the deal. And I don't think that formula can work this week. I don't. They're going to need to throw the ball. I mean, quarterback Stone Saunders has got nearly 2,800 yards and 43 touchdowns. He's struggled the last couple of games. Granted, 2 weeks ago, the win, any quarterback's going to struggle. That's understandable. But he's a freshman. This is all kind of new to him. And last week against Bishop Shannon, he attempted 9 passes in the state semifinal only 3 in the second half when they had a 1-score lead. We're nursing a 1-score lead almost the entire second half. And they threw the ball 3 times. He was 0 for 3. He just looked uncomfortable in his own skin because and I say it again, it's understandable. He doesn't want to be the freshman that makes the mistakes that costs everybody a trip to the state final, right? But he's got to get past that. He's got to be a little bit more the quarterback he was all season. McDevitt's still going to try and run the ball, right? And that really does matter. And I think those backs are good enough. Their O-line's been doing okay that they'll be able to move the ball some on the ground. But ultimately, he's got to lead this offense. The quarterback's got to lead this offense, and it has to look more like it did prior to the last 2 games. I mean, 4 touchdowns in 8 quarters of playoff football. Does McDevitt win those 2 games if you say that out loud? They've scored 4 offensive touchdowns in 8 quarters. They scored 2 touchdowns in this game. They're probably losing.
Andy, we touched on the young quarterbacks on both sides. Stone Saunders for McDevitt, sophomore Quentin Good for the Quips. To me, the quarterback, and you sort of mentioned it, has to stand up, has to handle that pressure in the biggest moment that they've been in their young careers. To add that dimension. Tell me a little bit more about that. Who has to step up? How does that play into this game?
Yeah, I think each quarterback has to sort of be comfortable in their own skin. And that sort of brings me back to the other side of the ball. Which one of the defenses can make the opposing offense, i.e. their quarterback, a little bit uncomfortable or force them outside of their comfort zone and make them not do what they're used to doing a little bit? That's as much a factor as anything, for these young quarterbacks is which one of them can find their comfort zone if they can, or if they get a little bit early, which one of them can sort of flip the script and sort of set them off their game. I have no idea, but I'm a big fan of defense in this game. That's all I'm going to say out loud. I'm a defense fan in this game. I know there's all these numbers and flashing fireworks to look at, but I'm like, yeah, I'm all about defense in this game because there's some dudes on that side of the ball for both teams.
Yep. And I'm always intrigued by the battles within the battles, right? Which line has the advantage, wideouts versus defensive backs. When you look at these 2 teams, how they match up, where do you see maybe advantages for Bishop McDevitt, advantages for the Crusaders or for Aliquippa?
Yeah, for McDevitt, I see McDevitt's wideouts against Aliquippa's defense. I see that as a clear-cut advantage for the Crusaders. And for the Quips, I'm going to say an advantage. They love their offensive line, and they should, right? Like I'm watching, man, they're not only big, but they move. And they do move. Not only do they move well in terms of athleticism, but they move other dudes out of the way. I think the Quips O-line against McDevitt's front 7 is really, really critical in this game. I don't necessarily say in that it's an advantage for Aliquippa like McDevitt's front 7's at a disadvantage, but I really, 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 really want to see that matchup play out. I'm very intrigued about that matchup, probably more than any single matchup in the game inside the game.
Okay, Andy, give us your prediction on this game.
So you talk about McDevitt, you have to say 1995, right? That's just a McDevitt thing. Like, when's the last time McDevitt's won 15 district titles? They've played for state titles in 11 and 13, and they've been to, state semifinals, and they're back, right? The first time in 8 years they're back, but then you have to bring up the 1995 was the last time they won it. To be honest, I'm having trouble seeing as many routes to victory for McDevitt as I see for Aliquippa, football-wise. That's just the way I looking at the game. I'm like, I see about 3 or 4 ways that 3 or 4 ways that Aliquippa can win this game, and I only see a couple ways for McDevitt to win it. So my football instincts tell me Aliquippa, but at the same time, I believe this McDevitt defense knows that winning a state championship rests on their shoulders, and they're comfortable, confident, and perfectly okay with that. And there's a lot to that you can't measure in between the lines and isn't about X's and O's and athleticism. There's a belief that they're like, yeah, well, we're just going to win this game because we know we can. That matters at this level a lot. So based on that, I'm picking the Crusaders and saying no more 1995.
Okay. Let's do one more game. Let's take a look at the other matchup on tap featuring a District 3 team. It's
Sure.
Wyomissing in the 3A championship game against Central Valley. This one kicks off at Hershey Park Stadium, high noon on Saturday. Andy, give us your breakdown on this game.
Yeah. So first I started to say, oh my gosh, Central Valley has scored 666 points in 14 games. That's 48 points on a game on average against their schedule. Kind of ridiculous, right? Then you flip and say, well, why missing in that defense, they only allow 8.5 points a game. Here's the sneaky part about the Spartans. That wing T offense this year, right? They lost all those, all-state seniors and they lost a lot of components. This wing T offense is still churning out nearly 45 points a game this year. That is the hidden key in this game for me. CV's allowed 36 points the last 2 playoff games. Why am I missing? Only 20. That's when the competition is a little more level. For me, all the flash and fireworks that Central Valley offense brings to the table, I just wonder, will they have the ball enough, right? I mean, the Warriors they're also a run-based team, right? Landon Alexander's got 2,200 yards and 28 touchdowns. They have like 3 or 4 guys that can run the ball. Their quarterback can throw it. They're a little more balanced. They're run heavy, but they can also be balanced. They score on anybody and everybody, and they score a lot. So weirdly, the key in this game in my mind is Wyomissing's offense against Central Valley's defense. What does that matchup look like? And if Wyomissing sort of kind of can make hay with that wing T the way they do it, they sort of grind and lean on you. If they can do that, they hog the ball. They make the clock go like, where did the last 7 minutes go?
Gone.
And
No.
so that is a huge factor in this game for me. So that's where I come to rest on it. That for Wyomissing's offense and all of the points and all that and great numbers that Central Valley has on offense, legitimately, by the way. I'm looking at the other one and saying, I wonder how much of a factor this one's going to be in the game. And I think it's really, really important.
Prediction Central Valley then?
It is. I'm still picking Central Valley. I just think they're too loaded. They are so loaded. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I just think as good as Wyomissing's defense is, they've got to be extra special to slow this offense down. And that part of that might be predicated on how often Central Valley has the ball. If they can force Wyomissing into 3 and outs, they're going to score.
Andy, before we head out, let's 4 other classifications that are playing for championships this week at Hershey Park Stadium. Give us your winners for the other 4 games.
Nope, I gave you 2. Nope, you have to check out our picks and predictions. We're all going to pick all 6 games. I'm not giving them to you here. I'm going to make you work for them.
No
that way you also can look at everybody else and see how come they're secondary to me in terms of who made the best picks all season long. And you'll know by my picks and based on my record that I'm the best picker. So you're going to have to go look for the other 4 games, but I will give you Central Valley and McDevitt in these 2 games, but I'm not giving the rest of them away. Sorry.
2 teasers out of 6. Check out our picks and predictions Thursday morning, fourthdownmagazine.com. Andy, great little cliffhanger there for everybody to come back on Thursday. That's it for this edition, though. Final edition of the preview. Andy, thank you so much for all of your expertise, your guidance, your lock picks. As we've been saying all year, you are the best of our group, and we enjoy hearing all your picks every week. But thank you so much for participating in this and helping us do this video every week.
You're welcome. No problem.
All right, folks, that's it for us. Get out to the state title games. They're Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all at Hershey Park Stadium. Get out to see that action, support your local teams, and check us out at fourthdownmagazine.com for all of our weekly content. Andy, see ya.
See ya. Make sure you get hot chocolate.